Hey everyone, I am back. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. I hope that you've had a great week. I don't know about you, but it feels like the last week has gone by really quickly. I can't believe it's another mental health moment, how fast it's been. It's already Tuesday again, but I hope you've had a great week. Thank you so much for those who are starting to join here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. For those of you who tune in every single week to Mental Health Moment, welcome back. Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for those of you who are new to Mental Health Moment, welcome. We talk about all things related to mental health on Mental Health Moment every single week. And thanks again for those who are starting to tune in here. So last week, and in case you missed any of the mental health moments, they're all on my YouTube page, so you can always watch the replay. But last week we talked about self-love. Of course, yesterday was Valentine's Day. So if you celebrated it in whatever way you celebrated it, happy belated Valentine's Day to you. But last week we talked again about self-love, and I want to continue on this series this month of thinking about things that really affect your heart. And when I say your heart, not your physical heart per se, but your emotional heart, right? And thanks for those who are still starting to tune in here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. So today I have a topic that I know is going to be difficult for some of you. But if we're thinking about, which mental health moment is all about, if we're thinking about growing as individuals, if we're thinking about being better versions of ourselves and really working on your growth and your mental health and wellness, then this topic is very important, although sometimes hard to accomplish. But I'm going to give you some tips today. So the topic for today is to think about forgiveness. And I'm going to ask you three questions, three simple questions. Well, I don't know if it's that simple. The questions are simple. The answers may not be, but that's okay. But three questions that I want you to be thinking about in your journey of forgiveness. And remembering, again, every single person, every one of you watching this, myself included, we're all at different levels and at different places when it comes to something like forgiveness. But this is something that absolutely can impact your mental health. And it's very, very important, especially over the last couple of years with everything that has been happening. I can see it through the data. The stress level is very high throughout the globe for a lot of people. So this is a topic that I wanted to bring to you to really think about. And hi, thanks for those who are still starting to join here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. So the first thing I want you to ask yourself today is, the first question really is who. So when you think about forgiveness right now in this moment, who are you thinking about? Who do you feel you need to forgive? And understand that if the answer is you, yourself, that's okay too. Again, if you're new to mental health moment, I want to reiterate that this is a no judgment zone on mental health moment. There is no person on the planet that I have ever met, myself included, who is perfect. None of us are. So I want you to really think about, who do you need to forgive? And again, it can be yourself, or it could be someone in your life. It could be a friend, it could be a family member, it could be a coworker, whomever it is, and it may be multiple people, which is okay too. But I want you to really think about, who is it that you need to start for yourself that healing process of forgiveness for whatever it is that they said, whatever it is that they did, whatever it is that they didn't do. Who is that for you? So that's my first question for you. And thanks for those who are still starting to join here. So you guys are joining from all over today. I am actually in Georgia today, still on the road, but I do reside in the Tampa Bay area of Florida. But thanks for those who are still starting to join here. It's Dr. Hammond here. Today we're talking about forgiveness. And again, the first thing to think about is who is that for you? And again, it can be multiple people. It could be yourself, and that's okay. So if you missed last week's episode, it is on YouTube about self-love. There's a lot of tips and a lot of resources that I gave you on that, because that is a journey in and of itself. And today we're continuing this conversation about matters that are close to our heart. And one of them is forgiveness. So, and thanks for those who are still starting to join here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. So the second question I want you to ask yourself. So the first one was who is that for you? And the second question I want you to ask yourself is why. So why is this for you? Why is this idea of forgiveness important? What do you really think that it'll do for your life? I can give you all of the the mental health benefits of it, but for you personally, when that happens, whenever that may happen for you to forgive this person or to forgive yourself or both, um, why is that important for you? And some of you may say that, well, it's really important because holding this in for so long, whatever this is literally affecting you physically as well. So there's a lot of people that really struggle, not just emotionally with forgiveness and all that it brings, and the worrying and the depression and the negative thinking and everything that it can bring, but also it starts to turn into physical issues. And that may be happening to you right now or someone you know. So it could be headaches, it could be backaches, stomach aches. You have some type of illness that came about, physical illness, and all of these things because your body is literally attacking you because of how high your stress is, because of the lack of forgiveness. So I want you to really think about, and thanks for those who are still starting to join here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. So I want you to really think about the why, but also be reminded that there's a lot of benefits of forgiveness. And I do want to say before I move on to the next tip that I am in no way saying, as I say every mental health moment, that this is an easy process sometimes. There's a lot of factors that come about when it comes to forgiveness. There's a lot of things that people can do, or again, ourselves, that the process of forgiveness can be difficult because we're holding on, because we say it wasn't fair, it wasn't right, how dare this person, and the list goes on, right? Or you may even be in the comparative mode, which happens a lot with social media, unfortunately, where you look at someone else, you say, well, this person doesn't deserve my forgiveness because there's some level, like the level was too high, right? But this person over here, they deserve my forgiveness because it was lower. But what I want to encourage you with that is that we are all human, and a lot of times we mistakenly put each other on pedestals and not remember that we are all human, right? So we're really not, I don't want to get too philosophical with y'all, but it's really important to be careful of judging other people and not forgiving other people because what we thought they should have done. Because again, there's no perfect person on this planet, frankly. And someone said on here, forgiveness will set you free. Yes, it will. It can. But which goes into my third tip. The other tip I want to leave you with, or question I want you to ask yourself, is when. So when I say when, I mean, number one, I want you to first think about whatever this is that happened to you, or something you did or something you said. When did this actually happen? Because a lot of times I've met individuals who are holding on to hurt and pain, but it's something that happened over 10 years ago, or over 20 years ago, or over 30 years ago, right? So the journey of forgiveness is a little bit different. If this is whatever it is, something that happened to you yesterday or last week, it's a different conversation, right? But I'm talking about the things that you may be holding on to. It could be decades, it could be years, and it's still hurting your heart, and it's still affecting your mental health, and it's still leading to you having trouble sleeping at night, having trouble eating, or having trouble at your job, or having trouble if you're in school, or whatever it is you're doing in life, those types of things, right? Those are the type of things that I want you to think about. When did this happen? And there's no specific cutoff time, but again, when we're talking about something that happened 20 years ago versus something that happened a week ago, obviously there's a little bit of a difference when it comes to your emotions and your reactions. But I want you to think about, also, when do you want to start this forgiveness journey for you? And that's something I can't answer for you. My hope for you tonight or today, depending what part of the world you're watching in, my hope for you though is you make a commitment to start the journey. And I get it. I'm a psychologist. I've heard thousands of stories. I get that some of you may be like, Dr. Hammond, thank you for telling me about forgiveness. I'm not forgiving this person. I'm too angry. I'm too upset, or whatever it is. I get that. Um, but I want to encourage you to think about, and hopefully I'm planting a seed for you to think about getting onto that healing journey for yourself. Because if you really believe, and I hope you do, that your mental health is first, that you are the biggest priority in your life, as it should be, as you should be thinking, then hopefully you'll be taking the steps to make sure that your mental health is first, that you are okay, that you are taking care of yourself. And again, I am not promising you that you'll watch this mental health moment tonight and be forgiving that person by tomorrow. That is not what I'm saying. Forgiveness is a journey and it's a process. But I hope that you at least say, you know what, Dr. Hammond, I'm going to take that step. For some of you, you may need, and I'll put more in the YouTube replay information, always the resources. So you may need more self-help books or podcasts or something to help you move through that hurt. Some of you, the pain may be too much and you need therapy, or you need to go to a mental health professional, which there is nothing wrong with that. And some of you, a little bit of both, and that is okay. Again, we're all at different points when it comes to forgiveness. We've all had different things happen to us in life. We've all made decisions that some of us, we're proud of those decisions. Some of them we're not, right? Every single one of us, including myself. So I want you to, again, remember that you can start the journey. And again, no one can tell you, I am not here to tell you, forgive whomever it is by tomorrow. I'm not here to say that. But I am here to say that I hope that you can get on that healing journey for you, because there's plenty of research that shows that forgiveness can really help. There are people that have had high blood pressure. There are people that have had just chronic medical illnesses, literally because of not forgiving someone in their life. That is how impactful the lack of forgiveness can be. It can literally hurt your heart, physically hurt your heart too, as well as emotionally. So that's why I want you to take that step to make sure that you're in the best health possible, physically and emotionally, and taking that step for forgiveness. Someone said, my life became better when I forgave. Absolutely. And yep, I'm reading some of your comments here. Absolutely. And it really can be better. But again, you may need some type of self-help resource. You may need that good friend or good family member, or good coworker, whomever it is in your life, to support you through this journey, or a mental health professional. So there's a lot of different ways to approach forgiveness. I always tell you all every single week, if you need any mental health professionals or resources whatsoever, please reach out. You can go to drnekeshiahammond.com. You can, most of you, send me a direct message on any social media platform. You can just search for Dr. Nekeshia Hammond, and I'm more than happy to do my best to connect you with someone in your area. And if I don't know anyone, I'll do my best to find the resource for you if you're out of country. But I really want you to be thinking of that this upcoming week, about, again, who can you forgive, whether it's yourself or someone else or both, and taking the steps to make that journey, because it really can be very freeing, as someone said in the chat here. Very good for your mental health. I personally can see that. There's been multiple family members that I've had my own personal journey of working on forgiving, and it is so much better for my mental health to not have the anger, to not have the sadness surrounding different situations. So personally, I'm saying this to you. Professionally, I'm saying this to you. Again, not always easy, but can be so beneficial to you in the long run. And someone said, I need this. Good. Sometimes sometimes I do forgive people and sometimes I don't. And you know what? I'm glad you really brought that up because that is a very, very honest thing to say, a very vulnerable and honest thing for you to say. And it I hesitated with this mental health moment today because I don't want to simplify. I know I have just a short amount of time on mental health moment with you all, and I don't want to simplify this, but I just want you to again to plant the seed in your mind to start this journey with your heart and continue this healing path that you all are on, that we all are on, frankly. So again, I know forgiveness is not always easy, especially depending on what the situation was. But I want you to really think about how to have just how to have a healthier outcome when it comes to forgiveness. Um, and thanks for those who are still starting to join here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. So just to recap really quickly, today we talked about forgiveness. Again, continuing this series of matters that affect your heart, well, physically and emotionally affecting your heart. And three questions I wanted you to ask yourself. One, who is it that you need to forgive, whether it's someone else or yourself or both? Number two is to think about for you, why? What is the benefit of that? You could have a whole long list of why you don't want to forgive that person. But on the opposite end of it, why should you though? What will it do for your life? And the third thing is when. When did this situation or situations happen? Is this something that happened a week ago? Is this something that happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, right? And putting life into perspective. And also thinking about when are you going to start this journey, whatever that may look like for you. Maybe you say, Dr. Hammond, not today, and that's okay. But maybe you say, okay, I'm going to try to start this healing journey in a week, or I am going to try it today or tomorrow. It's definitely a personal decision, but I encourage you to think about when are you going to start that journey. And someone said, thank you for providing great tips on living a stress-free life. Absolutely. Every single one of us will always experience stress. But the good news is when you are building yourself up, which is what mental health moment is all about, and working on being the best version of yourselves, it really can make life a little bit easier to deal with. Although, of course, we all have the bumps in the road that are going to come up. Oh, that's a great question. Someone said, how do you know you have forgiven? Ooh, oh man, I need 3 more hours for that answer. No. So for you, so everyone is different, but a lot of people that I've spoken to, I've spoken to people from all different walks of life, all different ages. And a lot of people describe knowing that they have forgiven someone when they emotionally can handle thinking about that situation and dealing up with that situation and it not affecting them emotionally. And when I say affect you, it's something whatever could have happened. It may be something that you always think about, and that's not what I mean, but more so, can you function with that situation though? So again, if you're having high blood pressure, if you're having uh, anxiety attacks, if you're depressed, if it's affecting your school or work or your relationships or your friendships, if that situation is that impactful, usually it means you may not have forgiven that person necessarily. But when you work on forgiving the person to the point where you say, you know what, I can manage that situation. You don't have to be happy about it, but I can manage that situation, knowing that situation occurred. You may or may not decide to talk to this individual. That's a different piece of forgiveness. But for you, how can you work on it, on healing for yourself? So that was a great question. And that's a very, very short answer to a very long answer that's needed. Um, what happens when you find out you have not forgiven when you thought you had? What happens when you find out you have not forgiven when you thought you had? Yeah, that's a great question. So what's interesting is when we're all guilty of it sometimes, when we tend to sweep things under the rug and pretend like something doesn't happen and not process it, it sort of comes back to haunt us sometimes. So it comes back in different forms. You may be agitated, you may be angry, you may be lashing out on people, or the opposite, you may be keeping all of it in, feeling the headaches, the backaches, the neck aches, all the aches and pains. You may be telling yourself a lot of really negative things about yourself. So it really does come back in different forms when you haven't fully processed that situation oftentimes. But again, the good news is whether you need a self-help resource, whether you need a friend to help you, whether you need exercise or better sleep or better eating or a mental health professional, there's a lot of different ways to approach this, and everyone's at a different point. And someone said, what happens when you forgive and distance yourself for years, and when you come in contact with that person, they try and destroy your life by false statements and attacking your character? That is that is really difficult, and I'm glad you brought that up, actually, because unfortunately with forgiveness, some individuals may need forgiveness more than one time. So it may not be, as someone mentioned, a one-time incident. It may be something you forgave this person and then they disappointed you again, or they said something negatively about you again and again, right? So those are a little bit harder situations, because then it becomes a cycle and you have to continue to really think about how you can forgive this person and work again on making sure that you are okay. So a lot of times it's interesting. So in my work with kids, for example, and working with them with bullying and how they can manage that, a lot of times it would be impossible to think that there's not going to be any more bullying on the planet, right? Of course, we know that's not going to happen. But instead, to think about how to build this child up so that they are okay when someone is saying negative things about you, when someone is doing things they're not supposed to be doing in class, or whatever it is that's distracting, and spreading rumors and all the things that kids do. How can they be so uplifted and have such high self-esteem and high self-worth that they can handle those things? That's really what's being taught when it comes to bullying, for example, versus thinking that this situation is not going to happen. Like bullying is going to happen, unfortunately. And thanks for those thanks for those questions there. Someone said, how many times I think it says, should a person be forgiven? You know what? That's a great question. And I really think that it depends on what the situation is. One of the things to really think about is asking yourself, whatever situation it is, whether it's a relationship, a coworker, friend, or whomever, is this a toxic situation, or is this something more minor? Again, minor is very relative depending on who you are, but is it something more minor when you're thinking about forgiveness versus something that is very harmful, very detrimental to your well-being, and making a decision about removing yourself from that situation, whatever the situation may be. And sometimes you can, and sometimes you can't. It just depends. So there's a lot of depends, unfortunately, with that answer. But the most important thing is your physical safety, your emotional safety, setting boundaries. That's a whole nother mental health moment. I think we did that a while back, but setting boundaries for those individuals in your life, especially toxic relationships, friendships, and that sort of thing. So yeah, it was a really great question. And thank you all so much for your questions. So the other thing I wanted to remind you of, I know I promised you all each week I would tell you where I'm going to be speaking next, depending on where you live in the US. So on Sunday, February 27th, if you are in the Tampa Bay area, I know some of you are, if you're in the Tampa Bay area, I will be at the Tampa Theater. They're having, for Black History Month, a Black Love series and showing different movies each weekend. And also I'll be on a panel to discuss the movie. So the movie is called Waves, and maybe some of you have seen it. But anyhow, it's Sunday, February 27th at the Tampa Theater. And again, I'll put it in the body of the YouTube when I do the YouTube replay, all the information for that. But if you are in the Tampa area, I will be there, and I would love to see you there. And again, each month I'll be speaking in different places. So I'll definitely let you know where that will be. If you all need me before next Tuesday, feel free to reach out again, either drnekeshiahammond.com or on social media. You can send me a direct message, and I will do my best to get you the mental health resources you need. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And again, just remember that in this process of forgiveness. It absolutely is a journey. It's not overnight. I would not promise you it's overnight, but it really can have significant impact on your life. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to be healthy. You deserve to have a clear mind. You deserve those things. And sometimes with not forgiving someone or yourself, all of that becomes impacted. And it's really affecting your sleep, and it's affecting what you think about, and it's affecting you not eating or eating too much, and all these things start to happen. So again, want to be healthy. I want each and every one of you to be healthy. So again, I encourage you to start that journey for you, that healing journey for you, or continue it on your path to forgiveness. And I will see you all next week, next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Black Women Empowered Incorporated Facebook page and YouTube Live and LinkedIn Live. So I'll see you all next week. Have a great week, and I'll see y'all. Bye, y'all.